Hey, it's Coach T. In this video in the Affinity Publisher 2 series, the Quick Dive series, we're going to be diving into a couple of the other tools that are available here on this left-hand side of the screen. We've looked at a number of things. We've looked at the Move tool, we've looked at the Node tool, we looked at the Text tool and its different types, which are tables, and I don't think we looked at the Artistic tool yet. We looked at the pen tool, we've looked at the number of different visuals that we can add in, including the QR code tool. That one's kind of neat, although I'll be honest, I don't actually know how it works now that I think about it. Are these all different? Are they all the same? I don't know. That's neat. I have not noticed that one before. I wonder if it's newish. We've looked at the picture frame tools, and what I'm going to do is we're going to pause right here and look at the Place tool. Now, the Place tool allows you to insert an image or another element. So let's say that I want to insert, just like I do when I make the thumbnails for YouTube. I clicked and I selected the image I want, and I can click and drag it anywhere in here. I just need to click to place the image, right? And that's it. Now, if you remember when I set the document up, I don't have margins or anything like that. So I just have this stock photo, and I'm going to resize it like this. Get the stock photo number off, and look, now we have a nice organic looking background for a YouTube thumbnail. So that's the Place tool. I'm going to skip the data merge tool because it's not one that I'm familiar with, and I don't want to talk about something that I couldn't actually put into practice. But it involves creating a grid that is repeatable across multiple pages when you are merging information. I'll be honest, I just don't entirely know the use case for that because I've never had to use it. So we're just going to delete that data merge over here. I don't need to name it, just get out of my way. There we go. Okay. Now, next on the left-hand bar is our vector crop tool. And the vector crop tool is very important if you're working with commercial printers because sometimes you'll get your document kicked if you have an image that extends beyond the bleed. Typically, you want your image to extend beyond the margin, but printers may be looking for something to extend just beyond or to the bleed and not beyond. And what the vector crop tool does is it allows us to just cut the image down to a preferred size, and then if I select off or I hit escape twice, then it will get me off of the crop tool. And now you can see where there used to be that stock number here. Now there's nothing because this image is cropped. So I can drag, this is maybe a little bit hard to imagine, but if I drag this guy down so we can see the whole thing within the frame, and then I crop, I can see the rest of the image even where it's not displaying. So effectively I've basically cut a little window frame into which to view this image with the vector crop tool. Very useful if you are trying to make sure that images do not extend beyond the bleed, or if you just want like a ribbon of an image, maybe like this. I just want this little bar here. The vector crop tool cuts that nice and neat. The downside is without utilizing the pen and the node tool, you are stuck to a triangle though. So that is the vector crop tool. Then next up we have a gradient fill. A gradient fill is going to work not very well in this particular case. I think I need to have a regular shape for it to work on. And there it is. So if we have a rectangle and then I do a gradient fill, you can see it's working on this image to create a gradient. And if I hold shift just like in any other place, I can do the 90, 45, or 0. And then I can come up here to this icon in the top left, and I can adjust these colors. Maybe I want this to be more of a red, like that. And I might want this to be counterbalanced, like that. You know, I can rotate the gradient if I want. I can invert the gradient if I want. I can maintain the aspect ratio or get rid of the aspect ratio. And of course, I have my other color fill options that we had talked about in previous videos. So that is the gradient tool. Then we have one that I'm not particularly familiar with, although now that I click around and I've done a little bit of research on it, I'm wondering if I should have been using it sooner. The transparency tool, which is hotkey Y, allows you to figure out where you want the transparency on an image to be. And you can see as I'm playing with this, the closer the ball is to my inception point, the sharper that transparency drops off, or I can extend it very gently by going very far. And I can probably move this one back out too. Now I have this nice looking image that has this kind of pretty color effect to it. And I can always click on it, come back, because the gradient is applied to the object, and I can monkey with it a little bit to get something a little bit like that. Right, and you can see here's the rectangle, this colored rectangle. If I want to get rid of it, it's gone. I'm not looking at it anymore. I wonder if it works on this. Oh, it does. Look at that. So that's something you can play with. I bet we can even color. I bet we can even color that if we were to really play with it and figure out how that works. We can do elliptical. This is not a square, so therefore it's going to look, well, elliptical, kind of by nature. You can do a whole bunch of neat little effects like that. So the last one is our color picker tool. Style picker is not something I've ever played with. I've always just been okay with the color picker tool and my custom swatches. Let's see. So that's about it. The view tool just lets us pan, and then our magnify tool is self-explanatory. It just zooms us in, which you can also zoom in and out with Shift and the mouse wheel. Incidentally, you can pan like the help tool just by clicking the middle mouse wheel. So those are some additional functions on this toolbar. I think when I come back for another video, we are going to look at some of what's available in the text options. This is getting into a little bit more intermediate and advanced stuff. We might look at capitalization. We might look at spacing maybe. We'll probably look at some of the insert options. And we may look at building tables as well. So that's it. This is Coach T. If you like this kind of head-first, hands-on approach to learning how to use software like Affinity, consider subscribing to the channel, or leave a comment or a question or a tip for another learner. And I have been happy to teach you today.